A Taiku is an unresolved and unanswered question in the Babylonian Talmud. I am told that in the Jerusalem Talmud there are no Taikus, and that's something that I'd like to learn more about. But as far as the Babylonian Talmud goes, there are plenty of them, 317 of them according to a book written by Rabbi Aharon Yehoshua Pessin, who put together all the Taikus in the Babylonian Talmud. He lists 317 of them. The tradition is that these unresolved and unanswered questions are answered by Elijah the prophet at the advent of the coming of Messiah. I don't know whether the tradition has it that he answers them before he heralds the coming of the Messiah, son of David, or whether after he heralds the coming of the Messiah, son of David. But tradition has it that he will give the answers. And why it is that the Messiah, the son of David, doesn't answer them himself, maybe he will. I don't know, but the tradition doesn't say anything about the Messiah answering the Taikus. And if the Messiah is the greatest Torah teacher of all time, why would it be that Elijah answers the questions? I mean, I'm not to belittle Elijah at all, but after all, he is heralding the Messiah. That is my own personal Taiku, to which I have not received an answer. But sometimes I like to call it the 318th Taiku. I have a 319th, but maybe I'll ask that at a different time. Well, might as well ask it right now. Why not? The 319th Taiku for me is there are so many different topics covered in Shas. Not just the major ones like the holiday Shabbat, blessings, holidays, but even more intricate things that cover the most minute things. There's even a tractate called Sofrim, the scribes and writing and Moed Katan has to do with the laws of what you can do on whether you can irrigate a field on the intermediate days of holidays, and many other intricate things, all the laws of marriages and divorces, but everything scribal, marriage contracts and all kinds of stuff like that. So there's hundreds of topics that are covered, but there's one tractate that doesn't exist, which, if you analyze various statements of the Talmud, should exist. Why is there no tractate Mashiach, or something of the like, tractate Geula, or something like that? After all, the Talmud does state, I forgot who says it, maybe it's Amar Yochanan, or maybe it's Amar Chia, Amar Yochanan, I don't remember, but it says, Kol Hanavim Kulan, Lo Nishnabu Ela Limos HaMashiach. If all the prophesied not, except for the coming of the Messiah, why is there no tractate on the Messiah? Yeah, you'll get some scant coverage in Tractate Sanhedrin in the 90s. It's a few pages, and a little bit here and there, bits and pieces scattered throughout, but by far, very little coverage when you think about how important the topic is. So I would say the 319th Taiku is, why is there no Masechtas Mashiach? And, I almost forgot, we are at the 166th Taiku, the Babylonian Talmud. According to Rabbi Aharon Yehoshua Pessin, it appears in Tractate Bava Batra, page 88b. Bava Batra 88b states, with the words, Echad le'asara balach. Echad le'asara balach, Echad le'esrim bayavesh. Olach and yavesh, that means wet and dry. Iboilu echikama, Echad le'asara balach, Echad le'asara ואחד מ-20 ביובש, ל-20 ביובש, אוי תלמה, אחד מ-20 ל-10 דלך, ל-20 ביובש, Taiku. The Mishnah teaches that the seller adds 1/10 in the case of liquids and 1/20 for dry goods. A dilemma was raised before the sages. With regard to what case is the Tana of the Mishnah speaking? Does he mean 1/10 in the case of liquids for every 10 units of liquid? and similarly 1/20th in the case for dry goods for every 20 units of dry goods. In other words, 1/400th, or perhaps he means 1/10th for every 10 units of liquid, and similarly 1/10th for every 20 units of dry goods. So it'd be 1/200th. The Gemara states that dilemma shall stand unresolved. This is the Taiku. It's 166. But this question, I think, is sort of like, it's worded out this way, but it's the same question of ad v'ad bichlal, I think. Or like milagav or milabar. It's basically the same idea. Seeing the same thing and just, using ambiguity to see it in one way or the other. And like, is it up to the 7th hour or does it include the 7th hour? That's the age-old debate. Or here's another one. Remember, like in Yovils, do you count the Mon Ulakan Ulakan? Remember from Rosh Hashanah, Sachas Rosh Hashanah? If let's just say in Yovel, you get to the 49th year, and then Yovel comes. So that is that year 0, and then it's a neutral year. It's just a completely part of the year, or and then only after that year do you start year 1, or is it the Yovel year and it counts as year 1 to the next cycle? That's also it's kind of, I think all these things are all kind of based on the same. Let's say you're adding 25%. Do you add it from within it or from without it? Do you add 25% above it, or is it from within it? Milagav, milabar. So this is kind of the same thing. Are you adding 10% every 10 units of liquid, 1/10 in the case of liquids for every 10 units of liquid, and 1/20th in the case for dry goods every 20 units, or is it 1/10 for every 10 units of liquid and 1/10 for every 20? 1/10 for every 1/10? Hold on. Does it mean 1/10 in the case of liquids for every 10 units of liquid? One-tenth for every 10 units of liquid. 1/10 for every 10 units of liquid. This is the only one. Maybe I misworded here. It looks like the same thing. 1/10 for every 10 units. One-tenth for every 20 units of dry goods. Maybe that's it. Yeah, it's 1/10 for every 20. Anyway, I think you get the idea by now. This was the 166 Taiku in the Babylonian Talmud.